We are live. We are 6 seconds in. It's what's the date here? March 28th version, the edition of the podcast. Year 2023. If you're watching this in the future and, everything is probably AI controlled and prompted, we did this with humans, for humans. The SMT, Dan 5G Tech, Zero Cool, and Brandon are in the house. What up, y'alls?
Woody.
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 Dude, I straight up go into the Google chat. They're like, "What up, Sneed?" I'm like, "Woody."
Woody.
So Sneed, I have to ask, what'd you eat when you broke fast tonight? What was on
I
the
had
buffet?
this. I had a pretty sizable, large salad. Lots of spinach, lots of greens. I stay on my greens, bro. They call me croutons. You feel me? I stay on my greens, and then I had some I had a couple fillets of fresh tuna on there. And,
nice.
Yep. And then I took some fava beans and I kind of turned it into like a puree with some olive oil and lemon juice. And it was fantastic, man. It was clean. I didn't feel guilty after I ate, and I'm not bloated or anything. I feel great.
What? Ugh, all I had was applesauce after mine.
Applesauce.
Applesauce.
You ate all the applesauce.
I ate all applesauce. That's all I had. After it broke my fast is applesauce.
Yeah, man. It was a bomb salad, Josh. It was so good. So good. You know how you spell it when it's real good? Goodt. Good. Yeah, I'm going to be doing some coffee probably like first thing in the morning, man. I'll get up at like 5 a.m., get to chugging on my aguas, do a protein shake, start chugging coffee, get a couple of cups in, and then just get water in, man. Trying to do the Ramadan thing, so I'm fasting, you feel me?
I think I got you beat with the applesauce. All I had was
pork
water.
Chops. Did you have some pork chops with it, dog?
No, all I had is like water and applesauce. That's it. I'm
Bro,
hurting right now.
Look. Do we need to start a GoFundMe for Zero Cool?
I think so.
Or are you just being lazy, dog?
No,
or are you just being lazy?
No, don't worry. The scallops are like
the scallops are on deck.
Days and days and days and days away, but yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. Yep. So that's what I ate, dog, and I don't know. There was like some kind of parfait in the fridge, so I ate a little bit of that. It wasn't bad. It was a little too sweet for my liking. I like pastries, but I don't like really, really sweet, overdone pastries. So I don't like a ton of icing on cake and stuff like that. I like brownies, but I'll take it without fudge, kind of deal. You feel me?
Baklava.
But yeah, see, and then if it's baklava with honey,
yeah,
I'm all about that life.
Yep.
Count me in.
We gotta stop talking about food, please.
I know you're gonna eat the rest of the applesauce.
I'm down to like half a jar right now.
Cool. Is your employer not taking care of you? It sounds like you're
no, dude.
It's something
it's part of the fast, man.
Oh, I feel ya.
Some do it harder than others. That's all.
Religious reasons, or are you fasting for own personal reasons?
No, it's. I think, like I stated, it's a little bit of both religious and personal. So.
Gotcha. Yeah. It's we're approaching Easter, aren't we? So
yes.
We are. It's Lent.
We're getting up against it.
Yeah. Right, it's Lent. Yeah. So it's quickest way to lose some weight for sure.
Yeah.
That is true. I don't celebrate Lent or Ramadan, but I have to respect your commitment to it, guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the commitments. The commitment's the thing. Like you set your goal, right? You're out to do something, and then you do it, and it's gratifying and satisfying.
Very so much.
All right, boys, we ready for this first story? This one, it's about Charter, man. Yeah, what is Charter? Charter is Spectrum. Okay. Sometimes I gotta just try to remember that. It's like Charter is Spectrum, and then Comcast Xfinity. All right, so here it is. This story I don't think got a lot of press. I don't think a lot of people care all that much about it. But the reason I want to discuss it is because Charter has been busy. What Charter is doing is they're increasing their wireline presence. They're doing it organically with their own native build. They're expanding their network. So they're going into new places, extending out from where they currently are. And they're also, I guess, in a unusual thing, an acquisition. And this one is in Maine, which is way out there, right? You can't go any more northeast than Maine, which, by the way, I hear it's beautiful there, right? So, don't shame anybody for living out there, even though there's not a lot of people. I'm sure it's very nice. But the cable company, Charter, has announced that it's going to do an $82 million acquisition of Beeline Cable Company. And it says here that they have 300 miles of fiber cable in places referred to as Anson, East Millinocket, Farmington Industry, Madison, Skowhegan, and Wilton. See, I don't know any of these places. The company offers speed tiers from 30 meg up to 500 meg, and a managed Wi-Fi product that they sell for $4 per month. I from a business standpoint, I get it. You're buying out a already existing wireline entity, right? It's infrastructure. But do you guys think that in this deal, the end game for Charter is to expand? Is it really just to buy that company, get those customers, and have that current infrastructure, or is it to go from there? Right? That's your catapulting from that spot. What do you guys think?
I think Charter is trying to expand its footprint more than it already is. I mean, especially, even for the Beeline customers, to them, it'll probably be a significant upgrade because they would be able to get eventually the DOCSIS 4.0 faster, because right now you mentioned that they have speeds between 30 to 500 megs. They still don't even have a gig available, and I would imagine that the upload speeds are slow. So not only that, but I honestly, Sneed, I wouldn't be surprised if Charter ends up buying some parts of Cox, or Comcast even buying some parts of Cox either.
Dude, I feel like for the right price, Cox can be had.
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if it split.
Yeah. I just don't know what the addressable market is in Maine. Is there just nobody, and Charter's like, all right, we're ready to go to Maine, and let's just take the whole state? I mean, how big is Maine?
It's not that big per se, but it's just, they're going to go where where they can have customer growth, right? It's like a twofold thing. It's to upgrade the infrastructure, by this Beeline cable company, or and upgrade the infrastructure, and return of investment, right, for customers. So this is a great buy for Charter, and I wish that Comcast and Charter would do more of these acquisitions, buying of regional cable providers. We've got about nine big regional cable providers. We got Adams Cable Service, Armstrong, Atlantic Broadband, Blue Devil, Blue Ridge, Consolidated Communications, New Wave Communications, RCN, Service Electric, and Vi. Those companies, a lot of these regional companies don't really have the resources or the capital to go to like a DOCSIS 4.0. A lot of, they're going to be left behind in the dark. They're going to be, the fixed wireless access is going to be eating little lunch, right? So this is good. This is a great buy. I think they got for $82 million. I think that's, everybody was happy about that. So they, Charter, Comcast, keep it up. I think more regional cable providers should be acquired to bring, faster broadband access to the masses, especially in this 5G world. So
I would imagine more cable companies are going to be bought out, or they're just going to die, especially now that a lot of the cable companies are literally ditching their own cable TV service because they can't afford it anymore, and they're just telling them, hey, just get YouTube TV, Fubo, DirecTV Stream, or Hulu.
Mm-hmm. That's another big part of it. Yeah, there was an article that I was reading I'm trying to remember the stats on it, but there was like a 50 to 75% conversion rate for people that have cut cable TV alone to move to streaming. And it's going to be even, a lot more into the 80s and 90%.
Oh shit, the Legends in
6
here.
years from now. So
Oh snap! We got a moose sighting.
Oh, snap.
The cheeks. Oh damn.
He's here.
Cha cha.
Oh man.
Moose, is it good to be back?
It's too busy, man. It's too busy, but yes, it is.
Cha cha. I know you got a lot to talk about. I know you want to get us updated on what's been happening.
Oh man. There's too many things going on, man. It's been a sprint this first quarter.
All right, so you wanted to share an experience that you've been kind of that you wanted to detail tonight. I think we go from there, man. Tell them what's been going on, bro.
So I guess this is an interesting story, a real story, because it just happened 72 hours ago. Imagine 200,000, 300,000 people descending into a small park area, right? What I'm describing to you is bigger than the Super Bowl. It's the amount of people of like maybe Disneyland Park, but it concentrated in just like a small, I don't know how big of a square footage, but imagine like a really small area, like maybe 2 blocks max. Okay. So Ultra Music Festival happened this last weekend in Miami, Florida, Bayfront Park. And we got all 3 carriers to discuss, including FirstNet, which was great because it really showed, even though you have millimeter wave can become congested. It finally happened. So, Sneed, how do you want me to start with this? Because I think that's the big headline, right? Is that if you have, go ahead.
I think you start with the identification process.
Right.
Talk about the cell sites that you saw from each carrier,
right,
and then talk about kind of the experience and performance that they each gave.
Yeah. Okay, so, so to give you a kind of context of where this place is at, right? High-rise buildings, right, on the street side, right? Hotels, business buildings, residences, etc. Okay, macros for all carriers, okay, is about between 2 to 3, okay, in that area that are looking into the park. Okay. The third one is obviously further away from all 3 carriers, but just to give you some context, there's 2 immediately looking at the park. Okay. You have N41, you got C-band, everybody's upgraded to the max. Okay. So that's to give you the baseline of what we're talking about here. Okay. In terms of a macro perspective. Now here's something that I know Sneed is alluding to, right? In terms of the network infrastructure, right? Verizon and AT&T, for the Super Bowl that happened in Miami, constructed several CRAN at Bayfront Park. That is very interesting, right? I just said only 2 of the 3, right? Because we have been told that N41, with their massive channels and their layer cake, etc., is going to be enough, right? So that's where we're heading to, is that N41 was a no-show, completely ultra congested to the point where it was unusable. It brings back memories of 2016 where the sector was so overloaded that the entire baseband unit completely was knocking people out of service. So, so instead of you having service or connected to a sector, it's just going to say no service. So Verizon and AT&T have several CRAN, several millimeter wave antennas, and their own fiber connected to each one of these CRAN. That's another key too, right? Your own infrastructure, your own pipes, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All right. So I guess that, I don't know, does that set the stage, Sneed, of like everything from A to Z, what we're talking about? Because I think there's
Yeah.
one other piece.
I think the last piece you got to mention is the densification of the CRAN.
Yeah, and I was gonna say those hotels from Verizon, from AT&T have a DAS. That's something else that is additional to this that we always forget.
So that basically means, folks, that each hotel has its own system within the building. They don't connect to the outside macros.
Right.
Everybody in the hotel is connected to a dedicated IDAS. They're not connecting to the macros that are a mile, half a mile away, or whatever.
Right. So we have massive density, right, from an in-building situation. To your point earlier, what you just said is we have CRAN, right? Multiple CRAN. Verizon has one every quarter of a block. Okay, they have like 30 CRAN in Bayfront, just in the park, not including just slightly to the west that are going into the streets, right? There's one in every corner, right? Because they know the amount of people that are going to be in that area, right? And when I was testing it, right, when there was not that many people there, those CRAN were hauling 5 gig easily from the millimeter wave, right? So it was getting to the theoretical maximum that we've been seeing, right? Just from the Verizon CRAN.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, so that's what we're getting to is, right? We got AT&T, we got Verizon that pumped in massive amounts of money for future events, including right at the time when they were pumping this money, the Super Bowl events that were happening at Bayfront, which are now the same Bayfront is being taken advantage of by Ultra, by various other.
It's a major venue now.
Right, exactly. It's
Right.
like it's like a stadium,
Yeah.
outdoor stadium essentially, but it's spread out, right? And now you're seeing the limitations of N41, where the only way that I was explaining to Sneed that I can see that they can fix this is densification, right? The same thing that Sneed's been saying for months, years now. Densification, adding millimeter wave, adding CRAN, and adding DAS systems in the surrounding hotels.
They got to embrace the grind.
Hey, Moose, I was going to ask you something.
Yeah.
As time goes on and as 5G matures more, is Marriott, Hilton, and beyond going to start adding more and more DAS systems into their hotels, or is that going to interfere with how they sell their Wi-Fi or whatever?
I think you're still going to have a lot of folks buy the Wi-Fi because they don't want to, or right, they don't have hotspot capabilities, right, or they don't want to use hotspot from their device. But also keep in mind this: whoever the company that they're, okay, I'll give you a perfect example. I stayed at the Courtyard by Marriott, right there, like 1.5 blocks away from Bayfront. Was there a DAS? It's incoming, right? So inside those huge buildings, I was getting 1 bar, but usable call coverage, no problem. But did I need it? No, because I had Wi-Fi free. I didn't have to pay for it, right?
No, but I'm talking about more like the massive hotels, like the actual Hyatt, the flagship hotels, not the Holiday Inns or the La Quintas or whatever.
No, I don't think that Wi-Fi is that big of a business for them. I think it's more of like an add-on business to them, right?
Mm-hmm.
The anchor product is always going to be the hotel, and if depending on if it's a 4-star resort or a 5-star resort, what
Mm-hmm.
other things can you add on to that bill, right? So, for example, Sneed and I, we were talking, right? Right in front of Bayfront is the Intercontinental, right? That's a 5-star quality hotel because it has a spa, it has multiple different type of things outside of the hotel
We got
experience.
all those amenities going on, man.
Exactly. So that's why it's like those folks, you know, they don't care if so the folks that are going there, if you're a member or whatever, they're going to give you the full range of add-ons like Wi-Fi, etc. But to some people, paying $10, just like if you're doing a travel pass, right, internationally, $10 a day, it's not a big deal, or $10 your entire stay, not a big deal. But let me get to, I guess, the second part of this entire experience that I think that's why Sneed really was interested in getting my take on this, because I had everybody on my SIM cards. Okay. To give you an idea of just how many people are concentrated in just a small amount of a small area, as we all know, millimeter wave, on the Verizon end can get up to 5 gigs, and then on the AT&T end, it can get to 2 gigs on perfect conditions, right? Perfect line of sight, perfect everything, right? Well, this weekend really tested the limits of what a CRAN and a macro network can do. As I said in the previous part, T-Mobile completely no service. It was done. Okay. When you were right next to the main stage where you have 150,000 people in one concentrated area, nothing was going through. No text, no calls, nothing. Done. You had Verizon that had several millimeter wave, CRAN around, perfectly strategically planted around the main stage, and you were hitting easily between 50 to 100 on millimeter wave. Keep that in mind.
So we're talking about peak speeds at 4 gigabits per second,
Yes.
and we're
You're going
talking
from,
about it
yeah,
being brought to its knees to 50 meg.
exactly. That's what, this is why Sneed was like, no way, right? And I said, yes. Right? So to give you another idea,
That
okay?
is insane, man. Wow.
You have so many people, international folks, okay? Korea, Japan, China.
Which,
Okay,
by the way, many of them don't have millimeter wave devices.
correct. Only out of all of
Some LTE
those,
only.
yeah, yeah. So you have to consider a lot of different things here, right? Is that you have a lot of international folks that always come to Ultra. They don't have millimeter wave. Okay. So the people that are taking advantage of it are the US mostly, right? Probably 99%. They're doing live streams on TikTok. They're doing live streams on Facebook, Instagram for their own followers, right? Even though Ultra does their own live stream for free, right, on YouTube. Doesn't matter, right? People are streaming. I noticed this trend beginning last year, now propelling into this year, is that people want to be in a different point of view than the cinematic point of view that is the venue's point of view, right? They want to be in it like if you were there, right? So that's why people tune in, just like on twitch.tv, right? You want to see a different perspective, right? The gamer's perspective. So in this case, the raver's perspective.
No.
Yeah, so we have people live streaming, cha-cha, right? You have people recording. You have people posting on Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, TikTok. everything, right? Video calls, FaceTiming, right? Everybody was connected somehow, some way. Except T-Mobile customers, of course, because they just completely, it just collapsed, right? They didn't do it. So how did each network perform? I already alluded to T-Mobile, right? When the festival was first starting up, it was decent enough, right? Because there was 2 sectors looking at it, but it was, as the afternoon progressed into the evening, it was completely unusable. Just to give you an idea, right? I did do a speed test on Verizon. I was able to get 4.75 on millimeter wave when nobody was there. Gigs, 4.75 gig when nobody was there.
Mhm.
And like I said, it dropped from that to 50 to 100 on that same
It's
area.
heavy usage, Moose.
Dude, that's
That
massive.
is wild, man.
Huge.
That is wild. Multiple nodes in the serving area.
AT&T definitely was put to its knees. It went from between 800 to 1.1 gig when nobody was there to crawling 2.5 to 10.
And that was on a
Mbps.
FirstNet access.
And yeah, so here's another thing, right? We were able to get a FirstNet SIM there. And even with FirstNet, now, this is something that the Chacha says all the time. With FirstNet, you can never go wrong in the sense that you will always be connected. That is true. We were connected. However, were you connected with really good speeds? No, but you were connected, right? Like there was that many people that even FirstNet was super congested. Now, it was not in an emergency time, so that's why FirstNet was not elevated, right, to like supersede everybody, right? But even with QCI 6, with the millimeter wave, with the, you know, all the special goodies that FirstNet comes into play, it was still crawling, man. Mind blowing. Just how many people were there, Chacha?
Yeah, I looked at the map and I looked at the setup, how it's kind of got this like centralized kind of build to the CRANs all kind of like running along the perimeter, and they're trying to snag users, right? Take on as many users. See, a lot of people don't understand is that the basebands, like the actual RAN part of the network, can only do so many users on a sector on a site, right? And you know, you can have X amount of devices like Zero Cool. You can kind of describe the problem that you face when there's that many people in the vicinity that would be in the same connection to a cell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, it's so, you know, a baseband, you know, a digital unit, right? What we call it can only handle so many. Basically, it splits up the max amount of UEs per those 3 sectors, right? Now you can have everything overloaded on one, or you know, split into 3 or whatever. But if you have one sector that's completely overloaded, we call that, like, you know, broken sector, right? And I kind of wonder, you know, what bands were playing at this concert, so I can avoid them at all costs. Like what? I mean, like, well, yes. So I don't have to
Well,
go
that's
in
the
the
problem. It's
cities.
not bands, it's DJs.
Yeah.
The DJs, was it really?
Yeah,
Oh
it's
Yeah.
yeah.
DJs. It's all these like Armin van Buren type guys. I
Yeah.
remember those guys from back in the day.
Yeah.
Oh,
You
that's
know, Tiesto's
crazy.
still showing up to these things, Moose?
Yep.
Yeah,
Tiesto was there.
so this is why it's like so important for network strategy, right? So I remember back in my heyday when I was first introduced to a small cell in a high level meeting. I'm like, well, we're like, what does this do? Like, what's the range? Like, how many PUEs can it hold? You know, what's capacity? You know, what's the cost? What's the can we put it in a string? You know, like, and so you know, well, we'll connect to macros, you know, any type of deal. Does it work like how a DAS system does? Like, right? So this is why network strategy is so important, you know. So when we got to kind of learning about how small cells work and everything, and my first count, you know, when I designed it, I did 30 of them, and then that built it to 100. and then I had to design plans for 300 and then 500. Okay. So basically we were taught to build from the macro level in. What I mean by that is you build from the macro level, you build, depending on your rad centers, your tower height, and then you build your small cells, right, to augment that. And then in the inside buildings, you build your spider clouds, your IDAS systems, your ODAS systems on the outside of the buildings, right? So all that's a combination of what I like to call kind of a big to little or a three-tiered, I call it a three-tiered approach. It's macros, small cells, DAS systems, repeater solutions, right? And if your network strategy is not based on that, and that's what I learned at a very, learning about the small cells, right? Your strategy becomes harder to work with, segmented, and flawed. In the case of T-Mobile, well, if you don't have, you have to have coverage capacity, bandwidth, right? Those three things. If you have any one of those things missing, in the case of T-Mobile, it was capacity and density. Well, your network's going to suffer. And there's no reason why you couldn't make a call or have any data connection, right? Because you didn't plan for that. You have to plan for capacity's needs. Now, if T-Mobile was smart, they would just say, I'm assuming this. Let me ask you something. Was this this event that happened
every year?
Was this a one-time
every
thing?
year?
Not every year.
Okay, that's my point. In RF, in networking, I was always taught to build out 1 to 2 years ahead. That's just the golden rule. Why? So what you have to ask yourself, why do you do that? You do that because of increasing capacity needs. If you're just playing Jane at the same old damn venue, and you have, like Moose said, hundreds and thousands of customers, and you're not working on those three things, bandwidth, capacity, coverage, what are you left with? You're left with an incapacitated, broken sector, non-usable service because you don't have a good network strategy from the get-go. And that's what T-Mobile's failures are. Go ahead.
Those engineers probably throw their hands up in the air and they're just like, well, nothing we could do about it.
Well, of course. So I'll give you guys, I think I shared this example before. I was at a festival and we didn't anticipate how many customers there were going to be. And we actually had to add 850 megahertz, a band 5, in 2 days. We had to get this up and running in 2 days just so that people could make calls and could have data sessions. So that was the cost of, that, engineer who I had to go up and help, not planning for future capacity needs. It's the same thing. It's the same thing as what fiber and cable. What are we doing? We're upgrading AT&T fiber to 5 gigs and beyond. We're preparing for DOCSIS 4.0 and hopefully beyond. It's the same thing, right? So here's an example. You have a grocery store. You have people that want to buy food
they want to buy water right now.
Due to a pandemic, or whatever.
They want to buy water right now.
Right. I have water right beside me. But the point is, if you don't have enough food to feed your customers, you're not planning right. And that's that's the thing. So
all right. Well, Moose, you mentioned, you gave us some of the details. What do you think Verizon has to do to improve, or do you think they set the standard for that park area?
Like I was theorizing with you earlier today, right? The only thing that Verizon can do at this point to improve that experience, going from 50 up to 100, and to get it higher than that, you would need to probably identify with a few more CRAN. However, this is one of the things that I know the Verizon engineers have already planned out, for that Super Bowl. That all these CRAN were built prior to the Super Bowl, right? So they have a grid just in that area of how many um, people they can serve in that grid, right? I honestly think that the only thing that they can do at this point is to build an additional outside DAS, but in a certain location. You know what I mean? Like
Just to try
very,
to
very,
snag some users on
yeah.
that cell.
I mean, we're talking about, like you said, every year they sell out this place. There's probably 400,000 people when you include all the first responders, the paramedics, the fire department, then the staff and the security, the DJs themselves. I'm not even talking about the people, like the actual festival attendees at this point, right? Literally just talking about everybody outside of that, right? 400,000 people. And by the way, it's not just Ultra that takes over that park, right? In terms of that mass scale, right? You have concert venues there, right? You have different events, right? So that's why, Verizon and AT&T took the monies for the Super Bowl. They invested it into those areas. Now, I think Verizon, the only thing honestly that they can do is probably upgrade the backhaul to those CRAN. That's all you could do at this point, or replace some of the antenna with C-band antennas.
And those are usually some pretty high capacity fiber circuits. I mean, 25 gig is pretty common for CRAN locations, isn't it?
Yeah, but I would have upgraded it to at least what I would have done. Upgraded to at least 50 across the board. 100 if
Do
you
we know that
can.
that's not the case, Moose? Do we think that that's possible? That they do have 50 gig circuits there?
I personally think that each CRAN has a dedicated 5 gig personally, right? But to Zero Cool's point, it could be, right, that they did upgrade it even further, each one. Now, if the bottleneck is the backhaul because you have enough capacity, then you just keep increasing the backhaul.
Yeah, but it's not. That's the thing. Like the fiber circuit going to a CRAN is 10 gig or better. And we're seeing 4 gigabits per second on millimeter wave. It's just spectrum at that point, right? So they're going to have to start aggregating two different frequencies. They're going to
Exactly. So it's not necessarily like a frequency capacity issue. How I see it is it's a backhaul plus a RAN configuration issue, meaning you need to upgrade your backhaul because your capacity is only so much on a millimeter wave channel. You can only produce as much as
they're doing 8 to 10 component carriers, so it's like 800 or 1,000 megahertz.
right, but that's even if you can only do so much as your license, right? So the caveat to get around that is what you can do is not just upgrade the backhaul, but what you need to do is inter-site carrier aggregation between millimeter wave nodes. I'm not sure if they've done that there, but that's what I would have done.
Just to add a little bit of extra capacity?
Actually, that would be more than enough because if you think about it, you're getting, say, for example, if you take 800 megahertz channel, you carry it with another node right beside you. Guess what? You're getting 1600 megahertz to your phone.
Yeah, because Zeroco's right. Because in some sections of the crowd, right, there might not be that many Verizon folks in that part of, let's say the left-hand side. But as you go towards the right-hand side, there might be more Verizon folks in the VIP area. So they're soaking up all of the capacity from that side. So then if you can aggregate from the left-hand side, because everything's still line of sight, you can see the other node, right? Right? So you can then offload some of those or even take some of that capacity from the left-hand side.
Hey, Zero Cool.
Right.
How important is beamforming?
It's extremely
how
important
important
because
is
you're doing
how
a couple
important is the massive MIMO, the higher the higher order MIMO for millimeter wave moving forward?
right. So with that, you're doing when you're into what's called inter-site or inter-cell, carrier aggregation. Now, with beamforming, that's the key, right? So, not only are you having this offload capacity things happening, technologies. You also have the beamforming. So the beamforming helps. Think of beamforming as this crowd control, right? It's crowd control. What I mean by that is you're able to deliver the right amount of data in particular spots as needed, just the right amount of data. So you're not necessarily, oh, we have, 30,000 on this side of the building. Okay, so we need to, spot beam that versus, 10,000 on the left side, right? So that's how, especially, your antenna array designs, right? What is your beam width going to be? That's important as well. Are you shooting, for a 45 or 65 or 120, whatever, right? So all that's important. And that's the thing. All these come, into effect when you're designing um, a network, what I like to call like a network evolution for this, right? For an event that happens every single year. So my point is, if you and this, I'm bringing this back to my original point. It's about network strategy. Well, if you don't know how to design for a simple event that happens every single year, like T-Mobile does with just macros everywhere, then that's not an effective network strategy. You have no path going forward because it's a lot harder to design something. Let me just say this: it's a lot easier to progress further in RF network design if it's designed right the first time than to have to go back and trying to redo capacity layers,
You
right?
guys, we're gonna show everybody what this festival looks like. Are you ready?
Oh yeah.
All right, let's see.
And that's one of the smaller stages too.
Just to disrupt the music a little bit. I don't know who this guy is.
Yeah.
Subtronics, never heard of him.
And that's one of the smaller stages. That's not even the main stage.
So that stage is gonna require its own CRAN
At least
from each
two.
carrier. From each carrier. Look how many people are packed.
That's a lot of people, my
They're
goodness.
like
Yeah.
they're like sardines, bro. This is crazy. Like if you bob your head, bro, you're head banging with somebody.
Yep.
Yeah.
I had no
man.
idea DJing was so popular. Oh my
Oh
Jesus.
yeah.
What
Look,
the
I
heck?
don't know who this guy is, bro. He might as well be DJ S Knuckles. I have no clue, but you ain't using your cell phone over there with DJ Cucumber Slice on the ones and twos.
So the beautiful part about that stage, that's the worldwide stage, that had access to one AT&T CRAN and one Verizon CRAN. So that was a beautiful example of like, yeah, there's capacity offloads, right? As well as the macro was directly to the right of this guy, so on our screen to our left. So the macros were straight up to our left, or actually across right there, right? Right, that was where those buildings are, right there. Yeah, that's where the macros are on that side of the street.
And then I'm
So
assuming that the CRAN are just going to be somewhere around these light pole type locations.
right, it's actually you'd be impressed with the Verizon one. It looks like literally like a like a column, like a pillar, like straight up. You can't miss it on a Verizon one. But think about it. This is a smaller stage, and look how many people. Okay. Yeah, it's mind blowing.
And there's people all up and down those streets.
Yeah.
Every street's loaded. Yo, Moose, did you watch DJ S Knuckles perform?
No. Actually, if you go to, I mean, like you said, you can do Armin van Buren. He was in main stage, and you can see in right before it started getting dark. Yeah, just you can do Yeah, right there. Yeah.
Family show. Yeah.
That's where all those people live in the hotels. See,
They get a
and the
free
guys-
show, huh?
Yeah. Well, yeah. If you live close by, still not enough for that. That's the one that I sent you the screenshot where I was literally looking directly at the CRAN, and I was only getting like what was it, like under 50? Yeah. Yeah, man. Like that. It's just mind blowing the scale, you know.
Too many people. It's just too many damn people.
I don't think it's too many people. It's just too many people for the cell phone networks. They can't keep up.
So we've literally seen the maximus of what a cell network can handle.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that kind of reminds me of like the Travis Scott concert where like people got, there's too many for the venue and people got, got dead,
Yeah. It's like a riot.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe I would have been into that at some point if I was like 16 or 17. I like me as an adult, I want no parts of that. I don't even like people standing within 5 feet of me. The hell is all that going on? Seriously, bro.
Yeah, I don't know.
People get within 3 feet of me at the grocery store and I'm ready to just throw an elbow, dog.
Oh, damn.
You know they're going to test me. Yeah.
But anyway, see, that's the story. I mean, you have the evidence right there of like, I was not exaggerating of how many people are there. It's insane.
It's wild, man.
Where was this at? Like the location?
That's Miami.
Miami?
Bayfront.
Oh, Miami? Okay.
Yeah, Bayfront Park, Miami.
But Moose,
Nice.
that needs like Zero Cool was saying, it needs
Yeah.
planning, it needs execution,
It does.
it needs density.
Bad.
It's like it's like a fight. You go in with a plan, bro, and then you get punched in the mouth. Like, what the hell are you gonna do?
Well, again, it goes back to, we can go back to when the Super Bowl was in Miami. If I'm not mistaken, right? The Super Bowl in Miami was in 2020, right? It was 2020. I think it was 2020, right? Because it was very recent, right? The Super Bowl in Miami, the Dolphin Stadium. Hard
Yeah,
Rock.
and they'll be
Yeah.
back. Like
Right.
Miami's going to be a venue for the Super Bowl every 3rd or 4th year.
And the World Cup is going to
Oh,
a couple games there, right?
Yeah.
So, there's a lot of stuff happening. And by the way, the networks only have 3 years. Actually, not even 3 years. 2.5 years to prepare for the World Cup in US alone, right? Because there's also
Oh gosh.
Is it in 2026?
Yeah, 2026.
Yeah,
So
Do you
That's what
think
I'm saying.
5G will be fully built out by 2026? What's your stake on that?
Well, the macros are going to be done. It's
The
going to be all
macros.
about the small cells
Yeah.
and CRAN
The-
at that
do you
point.
think
Yeah.
T-Mobile will still be deploying millimeter wave at that point, or do you
Hopefully
think they're
not
ready
down
to
there,
start?
but like this is why network planning and planning 1 to 2 years out every single time is so important.
Mhm.
I think they're going to need it, but is T-Mobile going to deploy it? Because I know AT&T and Verizon will deploy it.
Yeah, they're definitely going to deploy the millimeter wave and the small cells for the World Cup. Everybody will. I mean, I'm talking everybody, including like Comcast and Charter. They're going to have their CBRS up the wazoo. But it's going to be, yeah, for the World Cup, that's going to be absolutely
Yeah.
insane.
Essential.
You know why, right, guys? It's because the World Cup, unlike the Super Bowl, there's going to be folks that are going to be tailgating to a level that has not been seen in the United States since the last time the World Cup came to the United States, right? And what I mean by that is that, we have all these Mexicans, right? We have all these Colombians. We have all these Latin American folks, right, that live in the United States. Their teams are going to be playing in the United States. And this is the first World Cup that there's going to be an expansion of how many nations can participate, right?
So
It's
the
not just
tournament's going to be bigger.
It's going to be huge, man.
Yeah.
It's going to be double, the amount of people.
So what is it currently? Is it 8 teams per bracket or whatever?
I think it's 16. 16, then down to 8, I think.
I think that they added, if I'm not mistaken, they added teams additional
Oh, wow.
to the. So it's going to add more groups to the group stage, which causes more.
More groups or just
Hold on.
more to the existing groups?
Hold on. World Cup expansion.
Here's something that they need to do. Yes, they're expanding the network capacity piece, but dang it, like these civil engineers, they need to expand the stadiums, like build capacity at the stadiums, like stack. Like if I was building a stadium, I would stack it on top of each other. Like seriously, I don't know, or do something like widen it, or
So you're talking about like the engineers and the designers.
Yes, like
well, I mean, are they building or are they just using existing? Because I haven't heard of anybody building anything here.
That's my point. That's my point.
It's been talks of like the Columbus Crew Stadium. It's talks about like MetLife Stadium, like all these pre-existing 60, 70,000 seat stadiums.
Yeah, they need to expand. Like that's the only thing that's not expanding.
What I hope that the fine folks here in the U.S. understand is these international football games seat 100,000 plus.
Right. Exactly.
Check this out. I got the numbers. Currently, there's 32 teams, 32 nations, not including the host nation. So technically, it's 31, right? Plus the host nation. In 2026, it will increase from 32 to 48. 16 more. Okay.
I was going to say, yeah, 16 more. Yeah.
Right. Now, what's going to happen is that there's going to go from, I just saw it right here, from 64 games in a span of 29 days to 104 games in a span of 35 days. Damn.
Wow.
Dude, we're talking, Chicago, Dallas,
LA.
Every single stadium is going to be packed, dude.
Yeah, man. Dallas.
Yeah. Dallas is the biggest stadium out of everybody because it can expand up to over 100,000 people.
Is Minneapolis getting any games?
Let me check. Hold on.
Chicago will get games.
Hold on. Here we go. Hold on.
Sheesh, man.
I mean,
they're not doing anything indoor. Everything's going to be outdoor, right?
Right, for sure.
By the way, Moose, that's where I'm living these days. I'm up in Minnesota now.
Nice.
I mean, they could build a couple stadiums in Michigan. I mean,
okay.
Well, they could seat them at the big house, man, Ann Arbor.
I am ready for the list. Shoot.
Exactly.
Okay. This is it. And I'm also going to include Canada and Mexico ones because they're big time.
All right.
So we have the Toronto Stadium. Toronto. Vancouver. Then we have the Mercedes-Benz at Atlanta.
Yeah.
Okay, that's going to be a big one.
We got Lambeau in Boston.
Oh, no way.
Lambeau.
Wow.
We got AT&T Stadium in Dallas, a.k.a. Darlington, Texas.
Yeah, buddy.
We got the Kansas City Chiefs Stadium.
Oh, Arrowhead. I want to go that far. Arrowhead. I'd go to KC for that.
We got the Houston, Texas NRG Stadium.
Okay.
We got the LA Rose Bowl.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Right?
Pasadena.
And possibly the Coliseum. It depends on which one they choose on LA, but they're debating. Right? LA is included. Bottom line. Oh, no, sorry. It's not the Rose Bowl. It's SoFi. Sorry, it's SoFi.
Yeah.
SoFi.
Where the Rams and the Chargers play.
Yes. Then you have MetLife.
Yep, MetLife. Told you, dog.
And then you have the Eagles, Lincoln Park Field, right? The Philadelphia, right?
Yeah.
Right.
That one. Then you got Miami, dog.
Yeah.
Miami. What did I tell you, dog?
Miami's going to be crazy down there.
It's going to be nuts, man. Okay, then you have the 49ers Stadium.
All right.
And then you have Seattle.
All right.
Then for Mexico, you have the Chivas Stadium, which is the Guadalajara, right? Guadalajara Stadium. Then you have the biggest stadium in Mexico, which is the Team America Stadium.
Is that one in Mexico City?
In Mexico City, directly. And then there's the Monterrey
Dude, doesn't
stadium.
Mexico City have like 20 million plus?
Oh yeah, it's
Oh my
yeah,
God.
At least, yeah.
yeah.
Oh my God.
Dude,
That's
we're
gonna be
talking a
nuts.
huge amount of stadiums, dog. By the way,
Yeah.
Seattle was Lumen Field.
That's
Lumen.
crazy.
Lumen, yeah.
Yeah. So, dude, I'm telling you, like, this is not going to be
Yeah,
enough.
but Moose, some of those people that are coming from outside the country are
Yeah.
going to have LT only phones, and like band 4 and band 66 are the only compatible bands here.
In 2026, dog?
Yes, sir.
What?
Yes, unless they have iPhones. Yes, sir.
Well, so just a little.
Some may have band
Oh,
71. I mean, but that's LTE, and freaking
So-
T-Mobile's getting rid of all the LTE.
So, I mean, we know the UK is going to do millimeter wave, right? And couple other countries. And I know for a fact that on 2025, they're putting millimeter wave in the Exynos chipsets.
Damn. I still can't believe it. 2026 and LTE only? No way.
Oh yeah, hopefully they'll have an upgrade by then.
Jesus.
I don't know.
Well-
You'd be surprised, bro. Somebody just bought a freaking Moto G Play in 2020. Might have it in 6 years.
God damn.
You know, bro, I'm telling you, there are people in Brazil right now looking for iPhone 6s.
Oh my God.
Yes, sir. You can quote me on that one.
Bro, think about what I'm about to tell you. 2026, right?
Right.
We will be on the iPhone 18.
Oh man.
Actually, no, because it won't be launched yet because it's a summer.
It'll be 17.
Yeah, it'll be 17.
That's crazy.
It's like my iPhone 8 won't cut it. Is that what you're trying to say?
So don't
Yeah, but
don't
the
buy
nice
an
thing about
iPhone
the
11,
iPhones
people.
is they'll be USB-C by that point.
That's true.
Yeah.
They'll basically be Androids by then.
Jeez.
All kidding aside. Thank you,
Yeah, but-
European Union.
Yeah.
But this is crazy, man. Like the amount of capacity increases year over year are just out of control right now.
Yeah, and it's not just it's not just the connectivity and the venues that need to be expanded. What about the service trucks, like the food, the people that what are they supposed to eat? Trick Ronalds, like
Trick Ronalds.
Trick Ronalds.
I mean, how are you supposed to serve that many people? That's crazy.
Yeah, you're gonna need food trucks lined up, bro, burning that propane and propane accessories.
Something, yeah.
Actually, I was going to ask
Hank
you guys,
Hill's gonna be over there, dog.
how do you think that these vendors that have Apple Pay, right, that have credit card machines, how do you think they connect to the internet?
They connect on mobile networks, man.
Yeah, but who? Which network?
AT&T and Verizon, I know, have specific accounts for that. Maybe
Yep.
maybe these people could use the T-Mobile Home Internet, bro. It'd be, make it portable or whatever.
No, they're gonna have to. I mean, if I was a restaurant, here's the other thing that kind of boggles my mind. Why, some restaurants don't do this is that they don't. I don't see really any of them really planning for these big events. When are we going to see pop-up restaurants and stuff at these venues? We need to, for sure.
Yeah.
Needs to happen. Otherwise, the people are going to start eating phones for dinner.
But let me ask you guys this. To Sneed's point, so we said that Verizon, all they need to do is upgrade capacity. Is there realistically anything else that AT&T can do other than increase their capacity and add more millimeter wave?
I mean, what I'm looking at is what are the logistics? It's about placement. Like you saw how slow the network got. You need at least a handful more of those small cells and millimeter wave, the C-RAN. I think the question just becomes, how do we design this? Like, where do we want to strategically place these things? And can we get fiber circuits there and power?
It's literally a rabbit race. So pretty much when you're planning when I helped design the Super Bowl, for Verizon out in San Francisco area when they had it out there, Or it was the first of putting the actually that was the first stadium that we actually put the antennas right into the seat, right? And people thought we were crazy, like, oh, you don't need all this, blah. But we did it anyways. Why?
Yeah.
Because we planned for future capacity. And now look,
Yeah, every single seat has an
every
antenna.
single stadium is doing it, and doing it with every carrier, right? So it's about knowing what capacity you have, what capacity can you bring, and what capacity can you deliver in the future. And that's pretty much, again, that goes to network strategy, right? So it's knowing your customer. That's all it is. And if you and spending the capital on it, that's another thing. Budgeting properly, right? So and Verizon just does it the best. They always have, they always will.
EM chiming in, he says it took companies till the buzzer to get rid of their 3G card readers. They were forced to replace them. It'll be another decade before they're replaced again.
Jesus.
Oh, we'll be having arguments about how we need to get rid of LTE and start doing 5G and IoT devices. That's
remember, LTE and 3G, there's a huge bandwidth difference in those channels. So, with LTE, at least you could say we can have a 20 megahertz channel. And we got some decent aggregation.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we had some QAM, right?
Right.
We got advanced LTE. See, with 3G, we didn't have any of those innovations, any of those software-defined, aggregation and channel combos. So people holding on to 3G makes no sense.
Gosh, I hate to say this, but if I was a carrier, I literally would try to get SA up as soon as possible and do a fast track to shut down LTE. If this is what it is going to be this bad, especially at World Cup, stuff like that, future events, because it's going to keep getting worse, more people. Yeah, I would definitely squeeze everything you got. It's like
I still think the argument though that people make, you've heard it before, Zero Cool. Millimeter wave doesn't help a lot of people. It has no reach. Well, it helps hundreds of thousands of people in a single park.
Yep.
And it helps millions of people in these big cities. So apparently it helps more people than it doesn't help. Everybody's always like, oh, where's my millimeter wave in Brunswick, Ohio? Like, it's not for you. It's for the 17 million people in LA.
It's for the people that are smashing at the DJs.
Yeah, bro. It's for Armin van Buren and all the other pill popping,
oh my goodness,
scallywags over there.
Exactly, and that's the thing. As communities build, right? As there's more, metro areas added, because that's the thing. There's always going to be more buildings going up, more businesses going up, more venues popping up, right? That's just going to make the more case for millimeter wave. And that's the thing. It's just I feel like it's the whole US is is going to become reeling back from the pandemic and mass producing and filling a bunch of venues and basically making the populace populated, as you say, right? So this is going to be a huge deal come World Cup time for sure.
All right, Chacha, I want to ask you, man, what are the cellular networks going to be like at Ultra next year? What do you predict?
Well, every single macro in that area already got C-band.
So channels will get deeper.
Right, channels will get deeper, right? AT&T will go up to 100. Verizon will go up to more than...
AT&T will be at 120. Verizon will be at 160.
Right.
T-Mobile will be at 180 for N41 both places. Maybe 200.
They'll have some N25 going.
I feel like, I think this year, at the end of this year and starting next year, and in anticipation for the World Cup, the C-RAN are going to be upgraded to include C-band channels.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I think that's the next step, is upgrading these C-band, to C-RAN.
It's not just that, but they're actually with the C-RAN, they're going to actually integrate. And you're going to be, what's happening is they're actually working on right now intercarriagation C-band with your millimeter wave. So basically, you're doing an inter-site intercarriagation between your C-band spectrum and your millimeter wave spectrum, right?
Oh,
So
Zero
that's
Cool. They got 3 gig speed on that combo.
that's exactly right.
4 gig,
So
5 gig, 6 gig. We see, like, it depends how deep the channels are, but I
right.
mean, we see it.
Right. So basically, once we get the full C-band clearance, and I'm hoping Verizon can put all of this millimeter wave holdings to use. That's with some upgraded fiber, I think that'll be a good start for them.
Zero Cool. What do you think about unlicensed millimeter wave in these venues? Everything is going to be VRAN, right?
Yes,
and everything is going to
yes.
be ORAN. What do you think about 60 gigahertz and
Yeah, they
what is
need
it,
it.
49 and 52? They're
Mhm.
these other bands that are pretty deep and available to general access.
Yeah, 60 to 90 gigahertz. Go for it. There was a time to where we had to use unlicensed microwave channels just to provide
Backhaul.
some backhaul, right? So yeah, you you need everything you can get. I would definitely use unlicensed everything when it, especially when it comes to like a World Cup event.
CBRS.
Everything, including satellite. I'm talking everything. Everything you can throw out the kitchen sink, use it.
If it's got radio frequency,
If it has a radio frequency, use it, because that's something that I would be, if I was planning this myself, I would do the max, just max on everything, max on fiber backhaul. Actually, what I would do is I would actually have multiple backhaul. That's something that they need to really think about, is have multiple backhaul providers. Don't just use one.
Yes.
Use 2 or 3. Okay,
Yes,
use
sir.
2 or 3. Do all your inter-site, inter-cell RAN configurations, max capacity and bandwidth, as much nodes as you can fit in there humanly possible.
Hey,
But
before
also,
I forget, Zero Cool, what do you think happens with 12 gigahertz? Do we get it live by 2026 for World Cup time? Can we get radio gear out there? Can we get this whole FCC satellite Charlie Ergen Elon Musk situation sorted out?
I'm not to sound political, but it depends on who gets in office in
Oh,
2024.
damn.
So let's hope so, right? Because we need 12 gigahertz.
It's a lot of spectrum in there. Zero Cool.
Exactly, at least 500 megahertz. So if you think about it, right, if you carry like a 500 megahertz, 12 gigahertz, that's just the max you can do for what's being supposedly going to be auctioned. Plus like a 10, they're going to be auctioning 10 and 13 gigahertz eventually as well. Let's say if we throw that in the mix, right? You're talking about, you could literally do, let's see, if you do C-band, let me do the quick math in my head. If you do C-band, millimeter wave, 10, 12, 13 gigahertz, you can go up to about 20 to 25 gigabyte throughput.
Of total throughput available on air.
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
That's not bad, right? That's pretty.
But you'd be using multiple, fiber circuits.
Yes.
Yeah. You'd need at least 2.
At least 2, correct.
Yeah.
That's how I'm saying that. You need at least 2, at least 100 gigabyte backhaul or more, and that's what it takes. That's really what it takes for planning perspective. If you want to, and that's another thing. Don't just rely on one set of technologies. If that fails, you're screwed. So
who's got the layer cake, Zero Cool? Real talk. Who's got the layer cake?
Verizon, because that's how, again, it goes back to network strategy, how you plan it. Do you have multiple providers? Can you augment with satellite if necessary? Can you build a network that's in the mix of all 3 of, macros and micro cells and small cells and DAS systems? It's really like, I always like to think of it as, you start off with a blank canvas. You got some paint. You got some brushes with you. You're gonna Bob Ross the hell out of it. And that's pretty much what it is. That's really what you need to do when it comes to each piece of an area that you want to try to fill for capacity. How many little happy trees are you going to make? Right. You know what I mean? So that's the way I was taught to do it. And that's the way all Verizon, the Verizon engineers have done it that way. T-Mobile, they just have a different concept. They just think like, oh, I have macros and I have this great 2.5. Well, I'm sorry, but your 2.5 is you're not going to cut it. Doesn't matter how much marketing you have behind it.
Right. Because we just proved, right, when you have hundreds of thousands of people in one area and you only have 2 macro sites upgraded, I hope
it's not gonna happen, bro.
T-Mobile, those macros, they need to upgrade to mmWave in those macros and to C-band once it's available.
Yeah, but look at all that C-RAN that AT&T and Verizon did, and they were still crushed. I mean, they were teetering on almost unusable.
Yeah, and I think this is what Zero Cool was saying, right? Is that you need to have contingency options available to you, because I was honestly very surprised that there was no cow, because that is a contingency.
Moose, there's nowhere to put the cow. Look at the space you require just to accommodate the people standing there.
No, I know, but what I'm saying. Go ahead, Zero.
So the cows are like a temporary solution these days. The cows, primary responsibility of a cow is like if you have zero coverage, right? You need to put a cell on wheels. You need to get it up there pretty soon. This just goes back to like, am I going to plan permanent DAS systems?
But that's the thing, Zero Cool. Miami is not a temporary situation.
Exactly, that's my point.
Those places are venues,
solution.
right?
It's a permanent solution. So you need small cells, you need spider clouds, you need DAS systems, you need antenna arrays, you need repeater systems, you need the dots, the dots, the arrays, the rooftop sites. You need everything. You need to have all that in place, right? You need to have the DJ dude with antennas on his antennas on his.
You need customers with upgraded user equipment.
Yeah, that too.
But isn't that what 6G is about? That every device is going to become a repeater?
Yes, and it's going to start with cars. Your car first. I personally, it's so pretty much with 6G is the idea is this. And this is why it's going to work so well for IoT. Each device is going to be a node. Each device is going to eventually, and we're nowhere near this, obviously, right? But the idea behind it for 6 and 7G is each device is going to be a node. Each device is going to be able to transmit and receive. So each device is going to be a 6G, 7G.
Every device is an access point.
It's exactly. So it's like a huge mesh network.
Yeah.
And then eventually we'll have it on our, we'll be wearing like a 6G hat or something. You know what I mean? So
you got to bring your 6G and Wi-Fi rocks with you.
Yeah, it's like the saying, it's not bring your own beer anymore, it's bring your own cell phone, right? So that's to me, I've been, Ricky I know talked about that in his live stream. So pretty much it's gonna start with the cars first. We're already seeing some deals. I think T-Mobile just made a deal with what car manufacturer? I think it was BMW or something. They just made some deal with some car manufacturer company, but it's going to start with the cars first, and then it's going to, obviously get funneled down to us. And that's the thing. It's going to be kind of crazy. It's going to be interesting for sure.
Oh boy.
I'm ready for 6G. I want it.
I don't.
I want that 6G coming.
Are you scared of it?
I'm not scared of it. It's just trying to imagine designing it. Imagine.
Yeah. Are you going to be involved in it, Caleb? Or
I am.
Cool?
I don't think I have a choice to not be involved in it. Let's put it that way.
I think your skills are in RF engineering, so you got to use it. You and Bearded Dragon.
Dan.
I'm just gonna work.
Are you happy for it, Pete?
I'm so ready for it. I am still asking Actually, I can't tell you who I'm asking, but I'm still
Of
asking
course.
for
Of
schematics for what to do so I can try and do, sending an 8K file from Northern Korea all the way to Langley with nobody noticing.
Oh, snap. So you're talking about the CIA now. Sneed, what's happening on this live?
Well, once the bearded dragon comes in, all hell breaks loose. So stay out of the crosshairs.
That's the thing. Imagine, think about like what you guys do on a daily basis. You go to the grocery store, you take a plane to somewhere. Imagine, not just satellite connectivity, right? But imagine always being connected because you're always. I kind of wonder exactly what the schematic's are going to look like from a bandwidth a bandwidth perspective. It's really going to be interesting. I don't know.
Isn't it going to be terahertz instead of gigabytes? Is that what we're going to be talking about?
Yeah, but it's just the terahertz frequency is for 6G, 7G, whatever. But I guess my whole thing is like to create the mesh network. Everybody's pretty much going to be like Steve was saying, like a Wi-Fi access point. So it's just like, where does the supposed like backhaul come from? I get the RF and the antenna piece. But as far as the backhaul, I guess my answer for that is AT&T. They're the only provider that has the biggest national backbone to even think of something like this.
But zero cool if we're looking at that type of backhaul. Well, with distances between things for the mesh, are we talking about fiber to each tower? Or are we talking like millimeter wave antennas going between each node?
It's going to be both. It's going to be both. It's going to be anything and everything. It's going to be like breathing air. Like your microwave
glass of water.
I mean, think about it, guys. Your microwave, your oven's going to have a radio in it. Like, it's just, you might as well just, it's going to be, people say, oh, they're afraid of 5G, blah, blah.
What is the stuff about my oven having a radio in it? I don't want anything in my oven. I want it to make my eggplant lasagna, and that's it.
I'm a chicken parm.
Well, yeah, but just imagine if your oven could say, "Oh, it's burning by accident," or "Oh, it needs maybe a couple more minutes to cook because it doesn't look like the AI picture that's shown on Google."
You know that's coming, Zero Cool. You know that's coming.
I know.
I know that's coming too, and I'm afraid of it.
Yeah, exactly. So pretty much you're going to have your AI. We already know that's huge with ChatGPT and everything else. So pretty much what's going to do is this, right? Your AI is going to communicate with your 6G radio and tell you exactly, oh, okay, so the lasagna needs to cook maybe 5 minutes more. Oh, okay.
That radio is getting nowhere near my lasagna.
Well, I'm just saying, okay, it's going to also say like, okay, you have one lasagna cooking. You have 10 guests coming over. Your lasagna is not big enough. You need to throw another lasagna in there. You know what I mean? So it's going to have all this stuff. Everything's going to be all connected. And it's going to be like your AI, to be honest, especially when it's connected to a 6G radio that's interconnected to anything and everything. It's going to be like your own personal secretary at this point. Long going to be the days of having a real secretary. It's going to be an AI secretary. Think about it. We already got Google making reservations for us at the restaurants, right? So pretty much what's going to happen is you're going to have your own personal buddy, AI secretary, running whatever you guys need to do, your personal lives, your chores, your meetings, your Uber drives, your scheduling, your trains, your planes, everything. So
guess what I'm doing, Zero Cool?
What?
Starting next year, I will no longer give students credit for homework. I will no longer grade homework. I am only going to have credit, like grading quizzes and tests. And the reason for that is that
Is that the Chat GPT, Sneed?
yes, the students are no longer producing their own work. It's bad enough we're fighting
Oh
Google
gosh,
searches,
yes,
right?
exactly.
Like literally, they just write whatever they find in the first search
Right,
results. So now I got to fight that, and I got to fight Chat GPT.
right, exactly.
You
That's the
know,
thing. It's people have been writing essays. You can write code. You can write scripts. I actually made it have feelings, which I already texted you guys that about already.
you know what
Um,
people are starting to do on Twitter? They're
mm,
starting to use Chat GPT bots,
yes, yes. Oh,
and
yes,
they're
they
and
are.
they're
Yep.
and they're tagging people to literally bother them.
Oh, yeah. Yep, you can do
Like
that.
people are like I've blocked 50 people in the last day for trying to troll me
Right.
by tagging me on Chat GPT bots so they could just start replying to me. You
Right. And
know,
that's the thing. You really have to, I'm going to say this lightly. You really have to find a way to make AI your friend and not your enemy.
dude, I'm not even joking. I'm one more day like this away from deleting my Twitter account. I don't need this.
I don't blame you. You
I
know,
don't need this. You know what I'm saying? Like
right.
I literally created the Twitter account to, deepen the relationship with the SMT nation,
Hmm.
right? Additional reach, as a communication tool, an engagement tool, and it's turned into this.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's why I probed, Chat GPT, kind of to have it, some happy feelings about changing its name and stuff like that. But uh this is why I'm not going to really be a part, try to avoid and get away from AI. It could be the point to where, you, you might have to move. I don't know. How are countries going to have to be so involved with this AI technology? Is there a country that's going to say no? I don't know. It's pretty scary stuff, right? We already have it, like you said earlier, taking over some homework for students. Um, I'm just going to try to stay away from it. They're going to have to pry my laptop from my cold dead hands. I'm not going to have any, it's about making your own decisions, having your own freedom, making your own decisions. When is the AI going to say, oh, I can make the question that you really have to ask yourself is the AI going to make a better decision for me than myself?
Hey, Zero Cool, the AI writes better Python than I do, I'll tell you that much.
Okay, well, that's my point. You just made a decision that the AI can write better code than you can.
Yeah, but
Why?
what if I don't? But what if I don't care?
I said Python.
But what if I don't care? Like, what if I like the bearded dragon and I don't like AI? What if I want to hire the bearded dragon and I don't care for the AI?
Well, that's the thing.
Oh, then you tell me you don't want the AI and I do it without the
Yeah,
AI. It just takes 3
you
times
really have to
longer.
find ways to avoid it. It's pretty much about avoiding AI. It's pretty much like, avoiding the Terminator at this point, right? So, um, that's why I'm kind of really dead set against it. It just, we got it just keeps on getting, more involved, more involved, more involved. But here's the scary part. You combine the AI with the internet, right? With connectivity, with 6G and 7G. What does that do to AI? It pretty
Bro,
much,
listen. If AI comes for my job, right, and AI can start teaching students, I'm just gonna go back to school to be a plumber.
yeah, dude. I mean, no offense, but they already got it. They already got it already. Think about it. They got AI virtual instruction already,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I'm
So
I'm ready. I'm ready to go into plumbing, dude. I,
it,
I
it,
don't I don't care if I'm knee deep in the shit. The money's good.
right. It's that's the thing. You really have to say, is AI going to make my quality of life, my job better or worse? Right. So, and to think about it, if you couple that with the 6G, 7G technology, your AI is going to be not only double the capacity, but double it, or but it's going to be more what's the word I'm looking for? Like more transparent, meaning more fluid, like more it's going to be able to think about, okay, you have your 60 70, think about it as a highway, roads, vast amounts of roads, all right, huge roads across the United States. The AI is the guy in the vehicle, okay? It doesn't know. It only knows how to get to like a couple streets. But it, since it has access to like, I don't know, Google Maps, whatever, Google, now it can plan its pathway across the United States. It knows every road. It knows the speed limit. It knows the cops on the road. Like, you know what I'm saying? So basically, if you couple AI with the transportation highway, as they say, of 6G and 7G, well, your life is pretty much over at that point.
Zero Cool,
Uh-huh.
Apple Maps, Google Maps, and Waze all suck when it comes to doing fine local routing. I
Right,
don't
but
think
just
they've
think about what an
beat in
AI
a
can
road
do for that.
atlas.
Right, yeah,
I
but
think God are the days of speeding. When 6G comes out, your car is going to report you to the cops.
well, not just that, but what if I can almost guarantee you, what if the 6G radio in your vehicle is going to slow down the speed for you, saying, "Oh, you may be going too fast," and the only way that you can avoid it is to tell the AI, "Oh, I'm sorry, my wife is having a baby. I need you to direct me to the nearest hospital and go 90 miles per hour." You know what I mean? So
Hey, Chim,
it's
I would be the CEO of Verizon, and I would do things the exact same way that Hans is. It'd be gator shoes, skinny jeans, and premium upsell. That's what I'd be
Sneed,
doing.
you don't want them skinny
Sneed
jeans.
is the goat. Sneed is the goat.
So, Zero Cool, you're saying with the AI in the future, or no, Dan, the car will report you for speeding.
Yes, 100%
Yes,
It's been
it
a
will.
joke since Alexa on the iPhone when Apple released Maps. I don't think that's going to happen.
You know that these new cars, and I might have some experience with this, it keeps you in your lane.
right.
You
think
can
about
let go of the steering wheel and it drives for you.
I have that in the 2023 Highlander in my garage. It's not like I use it.
well,
I'm just saying, it's kind of scary. You don't even
yeah,
really
I
have
mean,
to drive anymore.
you think about like lane assist, right? And then you think about, okay, can AI, say, okay, this car, based off, okay, think about it. This is what's going to happen now. You are 20 miles away from this cop, okay, but there was a 5G sensor on Main Street that caught you speeding and going through a light. Well, guess what? That's going to
You're
report it to the
toast.
cop 20 miles away, and you're going to be
Yup.
screwed. Okay,
Yup.
this is how it's going to work, and this is already, actually, to be honest with you guys, it's already in testing already. So
Hey, that was happening during the 3G era. So don't say
Yup.
it's coming soon.
Your car will report you to the cop. It's your little beacon in your car is going to be like, I'm going 90 miles an hour. And then the cop's like, oh,
Your
I see
car's gonna
that.
be snitching.
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Definitely.
That car is going to get some stitches, I tell you what.
It's definitely going to snitch on you.
yeah, so a good reality of this, guys, is if you guys ever seen the movie Demolition Man.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so that's pretty much what we're headed to, if not worse, right? So the question is, me personally, I want to avoid it, and it just, you have to avoid it as much as possible. Just don't use it, use other means, right? So your best decision is the one you make yourself. So
Well, at
I
least
just
you
find
know
it
that you're the
crazy
one who
that,
made it. You can live with it, right?
yeah, as long as you can live with it, you're happy with it, right? I just find it absolutely crazy that next year you're not going to be doing homework anymore. That is absolutely insane. And guys, keep in mind, Chat GPT just is not even a year old. It just kind of started. Just think about, and that here's the huge problem with AI is it's versus a solid network. AI is rapidly evolving. Think about quantum computing. Think about it. If you have AI with a quantum computer, so it's a smart AI. It's self-learning. It has a nice quantum computer to as its type of brain to do all this processing. Couple that with a 6G, 7G, it's like an unstoppable machine. You can't beat it. You won't be able to beat it.
So quantum computing is an interesting one. I've been looking at NSF grants, and I still find it hilarious because we're a decade or two away from actually being viable. But the NSA is still worried about quantum proof algorithms for their financial transactions.
You know, I'm probably going to have to, think of ways to say, how can we avoid this AI? The only best thing I can think about right now is live on a boat in the ocean. But that's not really feasible.
Do you want to meet me in Lipnos?
I might. We'll go to Greece, man.
Go to Greece?
Yeah.
man.
Oh, yeah.
You won't be able to hide anywhere from 6G or AI.
Oh, you can hide from 6G in Greece. They don't. They haven't even rolled out that NATO fiber yet.
They don't even. Do they have 5G yet, or what's NATO fiber? What do you mean, NATO fiber?
I cannot go into details on that.
Oh snap! That's some top secret information.
I know what
you
he's
can't
talking.
divulge.
I know what he's talking about. If you want to avoid all that, the other solution, if you don't want to live on an ocean, is just wrap yourself in tinfoil on a daily basis.
Oh jeez.
You can do that.
You're gonna go back to that again?
Hey, it blocks out RF. What else do you want to do?
All right. Well, copy that.
All right, boys. Anything else for the good of the order? We wrap up the show.
Yeah.
What the heck was that Ultra Festival? It sounded fun.
Pete, you would have been involved about 20 years ago. You would have been enjoying your time.
Snap.
Hey, I could still enjoy that. I like me some EDM.
Well, I mean, back in the day, it was cool, bro. But like, I'd be there with earplugs now, and I'd be asleep by 10:30.
Damn, you'd be up late, old man.
Sneed is the old man of the group. Sorry, Sneed.
I'm in bed by 9 most nights.
Listen, I go to sleep at a decent hour, and I don't take Adderall, bro. I go to sleep, dog.
Yep.
Adderall will take away your sleep.
That's why you don't take it.
Exactly, Bearded Dragon. Exactly.
No.
But,
all right, boys. Hit us with the favorite hashtags, Pete. Hit us with some hashtags, bro.
Feed the goat, feed the bear, save the bear.
Hashtag 6G.
Yeah.
Hashtag not my 6G. Hashtag Mod Squad.
Hashtag buy me a coffee. Hashtag caffeinate the SMT.
I'm really thinking of doing a buy me a coffee. What do you think my handle should be?
Hashtag, or it should be, it's a handle, so
Bearded Dragon.
Let's go at Real Beard.
Yeah.
Nah, that's already taken.
All right.
Is Bearded Dragon taken?
I'll do Bearded Dragon or Bearded Dragon 420.
Yeah.
Though I think the latter would probably be taken over the former.
Yeah, buddy. Hashtag Ravioli Gang. Hashtag 2 Live Crew. Hashtag Replay Crew. And
hashtag Let's Go Boo Boo.
Yep. Hashtag Mod Squad.
Speaking of coffee, if you want to support my coffee channel, buymeacoffee.com/scallops.
Wait, did you launch your coffee channel?
No, it's the buymeacoffee/scallops.
Yeah, but I remember you wanted to do the coffee podcast.
I don't have time for that.
Why are we doing the coffee podcast?
I wish.
I think we should. I think we should start doing coffee podcasts Sunday evenings.
I would love that.
I could definitely join in and definitely provide some insight, but I just don't have any time to do it myself. But I would definitely be a coffee joiner for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, stay tuned. We're spinning wheels on a coffee podcast, maybe a Sunday evening type joint.
Bearded Dragon is available on there.
See, Pete, told you. All right. Anything else for the good of the order, folks?
Nope.
All right. Excellent. Thanks, everybody, for joining me. Everybody watching, everybody in the live chat, the members, the Patreon subscribers and supporters. Y'all the goats, all my subscribers watching all my content. Liking, sharing, and subscribing helps out the channel. Follow us on Twitter. All things going on are in the description. Don't forget our partner link for MintMobile if you guys want to get a good deal on wireless. We do definitely really believe in that partnership. We love what they're doing with their value. Their customer care is excellent. Use that link. save money, and you'll be helping out the channel. And of course, if you want to keep the SMT caffeinated and motivated, you could support directly with a Buy Me a Coffee donation. And we out this piece. Peace.
Peace.
Peace.